Hello and welcome to my living room. Until our studio gets ready to use, I'm using our living room, my living room, and come over, have a glass of water, a delicious pão de queijo, or a cup of tea or coffee. So today is water, and today my guest is Graham Lustig.
Good afternoon. It's tea time in England.
I know. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm Brazilian, so sorry, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. So talk about Oakland Ballet. You were the executive director, artistic director for the Oakland Ballet Company. I've been hearing, I know you're here for, you think you're here for one thing. We're going to go through that. Okay. But before, we filmed, a couple of years ago, I interviewed you for, it's our way to honor some local artists. And today you're here for this. Oh, well, thank you. You're going to hear people talking about that. Oh, no. Are you ready to start?
I'm ready to start.
Okay, let me play one. Let's roll the tape.
Hi, Graham. I just wanted to, I don't know if you remember this, but when we were on tour this past year, you had recently been fully recovered from your hip surgery, and it was incredible to see how quickly you were walking. There were several times the rest of us lost you at the airport because you were walking so fast in comparison to where you were before your surgery. And so we all thought it was really great to see you really experiencing an improved quality of life and not even realizing how fast we're going at times. And so I think fondly about how much your demeanor has changed, knowing that you're now pain-free and really fully able to express yourself physically. It was also really great to be rehearsing with you and dancing with you on stage during Fawn, getting to see another side of you, not only as my boss, but as someone that I can confide in and dance alongside and grow with. So thank you so much for all of that.
What a great story. And to be pain-free.
Yes, that too. Lawrence is a wonderful young man. He's just a terrific guy, and I'm thrilled that he's in the company, and he's grown so much as an artist from when he joined us a few years ago. So that's a big thrill for me as a director, to bring in young people and then to help them grow, to fulfill their goals artistically. I think that's a beautiful thing that a dance company can do.
And I guess you walk super fast?
I'm a quick mover, that's for certain.
Yeah,
but I did have bilateral hip surgery on the 19th of March, and I performed with the company on the 3rd and 4th of May. And my surgeon said...
Don't do it.
No, my surgeon, he said, he didn't really want to do the double hip surgery, but he said, you know, I'll trust you. And I was very bold, and I said to him, I promise I'll amaze you. And when I went back to see him, he said, you absolutely have done. I'm very lucky. Yeah. I had a wonderful surgeon, very good process after the surgery, not just the regular physiotherapy. I did dance physiotherapy. I also did water therapy, which is really fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I heard. Yeah,
so anyway, so I was very determined, and I feel that modern science is fantastic, because
I agree.
A surgery like that, you go in the morning, you walk in the morning, the afternoon you walk out. The same day, 7 hours later with new hips.
That's incredible.
It is amazing. It really is.
And speaking of dancing, so this year you went back on stage.
I did.
People are watching some of the footage. How was it for you to be back on stage?
It was absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
I stopped performing 30 years ago, and I've never been hungry to get back on the stage again, really. I live my life vicariously through all of the artists that I'm commissioning to make new ballets, through the dancers that are in the company. So that's how I kind of like really enjoy artistic expression. But I've been wanting to make a piece about Nijinsky. Nijinsky, the famous Russian dancer, and when he was 29 years old, he was taken into care and received psychiatric care for the rest of his life until he was 60. He died in England on April the 8th, 1950. And I wanted to capture that moment of his life, that last afternoon where he thinks back over his career. And we used the music of Afternoon for Fawn, and we had a piano and a flute player right there. So that music sort of calls his spirit up from this world, which is a worldless world. He couldn't speak, but he was actually responsive to music. And that gave me the key. And knowing his choreography from Afternoon of a Faun, his original choreography from Petrushka and from other works, I used his own choreography, woven that into my choreography to tell his story. And it was 1912 when it first went on, and it caused a great scandal. In the original version, he steals the scarf from the nymph. He takes it up to his lair on the top of a rock. He breathes in her scent. He lies down on it. And at the last moment, his body shudders. And everybody knew what was happening. And the audience was silent.
You know this person very well.
He would dance around a lot as a child. And he found out from some person that there was a thing called dancing school. And once he knew that, he badgered his parents until they took him. And he grew up not thinking he would do ballet, thinking he would do, he liked theater, so he thought he would do musical theater, or he thought one day he would own a theater, run a theater. Those were some of his early goals. And then he ended up in ballet, stayed there for a long time, and then ended up as a director.
Oh,
wow.
Nice.
So?
Yes.
So live theater?
Yes.
I didn't know.
I had been in musicals as a child, and song and dance and tap and all of that. Ballet was just one part of all the different things I did. It wasn't my main focus. But at 15, my dad said to me, well, you could audition for the Royal Ballet School. And I was very undecided. He said, well, if you don't have to accept a place. So I did 2 auditions and then a significant medical test. They measured every part of your body and took x-rays and stretched you and all of this thing. And eventually they offered me a place. I was one of 6 places that year. Wow. And so the truth is, by the time I got through that, I never thought to say no. So that was my track. 2 years later, I was dancing professionally with the Dutch National Ballet at 18. Wow. So
you say you were lucky, but I guess people in the Bay Area are lucky, especially Oakland. It's lucky to have you as a director because
Oakland Ballet has been, and we know that that Mr. Lustig is the man behind the scenes, just making it happen for us. And so we appreciate that. He's been so generous in allowing my children, so not just Yemi C, but also my younger daughter as well, kind of grow up and train with Oakland Ballet. And I know and understand how much it costs to put on these intensives, and they have to hire these instructors to come out and teach, and he's giving the kids nothing but the best. He makes sure that they have really, really quality instructors. He puts so much into his program, and we understand and value exactly what he's doing, and we appreciate him.
very nice. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
That's Oakland Ballet. So you were really, I remember a couple of years ago, you were talking, I was doing a story with the Nutcracker, and you bring, I guess, 100 kids, or more or less. And it's about the community.
Yes.
For you.
Yes,
Why?
absolutely. The arts are an incredible conduit to understanding ourselves and each other. And it can be any art. I just happen to be in the world of dance. Since I was 5 years old, it seems so vitally important that the arts are nurtured, are lifted up, and we can only do that by nurturing young people and nurturing the artists we have. So to me, it's a great honor to be able to give summer programs to young dancers and to see them grow, come back year after year. One of the things that we do very differently, and I believe this is incredibly important in ballet, I have always given choreography workshops, which is unusual in ballet. Oftentimes, there's so little time to train young ballet dancers that every single minute of the day is on technique, on point work, on repertoire. But if you can squeeze time to allow them to discover who they are and who their voices are. In ballet, oftentimes, we're copying people. Someone says, do this, someone says, do this, someone says, do this, and you're trying to emulate that exact position or that flow of movement. But imagine how it is if someone says, you're a young woman who's been turned into the body of a swan. Now make up a solo about that. Well, they have to use their own imagination their own sense of movement, their own sense of style, their own sense of coordination, and have the courage to show who they are.
You know, going back to my question, why? And also the community is part of your work, right?
Yes.
So, and also it's giving back.
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
It's kind of glorious. The Nutcracker, especially, we come together as a community, a family. We've got the symphony orchestra, we've got the Piedmont East Bay Children's Choir, we have all the community and the children who come from many different studios, we have the company dancers, and it's really an amazing feeling to be on stage together and then to give that back to the audiences. That response that we get at the end is just, it's like lifeblood, you know?
I think one person who is very thankful to you is her.
This piece that we learned one summer, it was before the pandemic, so my memory is a little foggy, but I do remember that I messed up and I started laughing, and so it was a genuine laugh, and he wasn't laughing at me, we were laughing together because I knew where I needed to fix the error, and he saw that I knew that, so it was a good moment.
Really great to work for someone that's not an egomaniac. But I think people don't always respect how great he is because he doesn't tell them how great he is all the time. And which is a nice thing, but I think sometimes people don't realize how special his gifts are, because if you don't know another director, you would think everybody's like that, and they're absolutely not.
It was hard to get that on camera, so it was really hard to get him on camera. So, and also you did another great job, which was towards the AAPI.
During the pandemic, I worked with one of my dancers, did some workshops, and we got closer together. They shared with me that they were on the receiving end of Asian hate. So it was 2021, and again I said to myself, what can I do? Director of a ballet troupe. So I got this idea to create a platform. It's called the Dancing Moons Festival, and we collaborated with the Oakland Asian Cultural Center, bringing ballet to Chinatown in Oakland for the very first time. And it's an AAPI program celebrating composers, choreographers, designers, and directors.
Wow.
And dancers. So we've done several programs. We've featured the work of around 12 different choreographers, 5 different composers, and we are actually on the verge of our very largest project. It's a very significant project. I think it's an amazing project, and I'm really pleased to have a moment to tell you about it if this is the right moment.
Please do so.
It's called the Angel Island Project. Between 1910 and 1940, 500,000 immigrants were processed through the Angel Island immigration station. Wealthy people were channeled first, other people, and at the very lowest level, Chinese people. They were treated completely differently, very harshly. And because of the fact that many of them were interned there for a long time, they took the initiative to carve poems into the wooden walls. Composer Huang Ro took 8 of these poems and set them for voices and string quartet. It's an oratorio, it's about 80 minutes long, it's 8 different songs, and we're bringing this to life with dance. We're actually going to be performing some highlights next March on Angel Island in one of the barracks.
March 25.
25, that's right. And then we'll be presenting the premiere of the whole work in Oakland on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of May, with performances in San Francisco planned for the fall of 2025. And this to me is a very significant project. The story behind dance has been used to tell stories for many, many centuries, you know, from Swan Lake and Sleeping Beauty and the Nutcracker. But I think there's another way to tell stories which are relevant, more relevant to today's audiences, and perhaps bring some measure of understanding, comprehension. In my dreams, it's a measure of healing as well, that brings healing towards the wounds that were left in the previous generations. And there are many people, of course, living here in San Francisco and in the Bay Area whose ancestors were processed. In fact, I'm meeting a lady next week whose father was held there in 1936. Wow. So it's relevant for people
Absolutely.
today. You know, it feels, it's a fresh history, even if it's, 80 years old,
Yeah, and you say it was 8 songs?
Yes, it's 8 songs.
And total of
80 minutes long, 80.
Wow.
So it's just a whole cycle. We actually did 3 songs already. And so we've got those ready to go. And in January we start with the new choreography, and will be presented in May.
The 3 pieces you did in San Francisco at the ODC, right?
That's right, yes,
okay.
and in Oakland as well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a long project.
Yes, it is.
It's huge.
It's a big project for us.
How long have you spent working on it?
It's been in process now for almost 2 years, so it'll be a 3 years when it comes to fruition. Yeah.
Wow. And how many dancers you'll be involved?
10 dancers will be in the piece, 8 singers, and the 4 musicians.
Let's roll one more clip.
All right.
I would say I'm very proud of the work that he's done all these years and the way he continues to learn and continues to try to find ways to serve the community. He has no ego, no arrogance at all. And I worked for many directors, and that is incredibly rare in people that lead an organization. Most people have a fairly large ego.
A lot of dancers end up quitting because of their teachers, their directors, their instructors, and how they portray the dance world to be and how they correct their students and whatnot. So the way he does that is the best way possible to make it enjoyable for everyone.
Wow.
Nice.
Good words, huh?
Very nice words.
Yeah,
heartwarming.
How long have you been with Oakland Ballet?
I began working in 2010, but I was on a sort of part-time basis. I was living in New Jersey, planning projects like the Nutcracker or a spring season, and I would come out here for 6 weeks and go back. But in 2016, the board invited me to come full-time. So it was in September 2016 I started full-time.
So it'll be 24?
Yeah, it'll be 8 years now, full-time with the ballet, yeah.
That's incredible. And from what I heard of that and your students, your dancers talking about you, I think you're doing a fantastic work in Oakland.
Thank you.
Bring those dancers to the Bay Area. And one of them is Lawrence again.
Oh.
Graham, thank you so much for everything you've done for us dancers at the Oakland Ballet Company. And not only that, but congratulations on all the amazing work you've done for the city of Oakland and the community that you've created around us.
So, what a fantastic dancer again. But he was telling me a story that you invited him to perform. And then, I guess a couple of weeks later, invite him to join the company. And he told me, okay, I'll go, but let me finish college. And then you end up picking him up on the airport. What an amazing story. It doesn't happen often, does it?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of barriers. I'm happy to do anything. Earlier, back in New Jersey, I had worked in the Philippines, in Manila. There was a brother and sister. They wanted to come to America. I gave them employment. They needed a flat. I filled the flat for them, so when they came, they had a fully furnished apartment. I just don't know. I think we do things... it sounds corny to say this, but out of a sense of love, because I love this profession and I love being part of it. It's such an honor and a privilege. And if I can, again, somebody like Lawrence, he was doing his chemistry degree, he had to finish that, you know, and I was just thrilled that he was able to support him, to be able to get his degree and then embark on his artistic journey and be part of his journey, support him in his journey. And it's just so rewarding for me. I don't do it for any other purpose.
That's because you don't do for the money, although the money is important, but you do for because of the passion.
You know, the truth is, I've never missed a meal in my life. I've had times when I was a dancer when I didn't have a lot of money and I was really counting every money, or my salary, just for the meals in the month. That can happen to any young dancer, and that's how you sort of, but I've never gone without a meal. And I always say, That is to do what you love and to be fed.
Yeah.
It's a good life.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well put. So tell me, you have another event coming up this month or October?
Yes, we do.
Right? And also
Actually,
not in October.
we have an event coming up on the 29th of September, again at the Oakland Asian Cultural Center. It's a fundraiser because the Angel Island project is a very big project, and we really have to raise significant amounts of money to support the whole project, and I mean the artists.
Yeah.
I've mentioned the 8 choreographers, 8 singers, the string quartet, the 10 dancers in the company. For us, this is a very large project. But there's an extraordinary story. The film is called 10 Times Better. George Lee was born in China of a Polish ballerina mother and a Chinese acrobat father. His father died when he was very, very young. And as a young child, he was performing in embassies and for other dignitaries in Shanghai until the Japanese came in. He and his mother, they fled to the Philippines. He was there for a few years, and then they came to America, to New York, and he was accepted into the School of American Ballet. I can't remember the date, like 1955, George Balanchine was making his first original Nutcracker. And he chose 16-year-old George Lee from the school to do the Chinese dance. George Lee came down from the dressing rooms with a Fu Manchu mustache on, and Balanchine said, "Why have you done this to him? He's already Chinese. You don't have to make him look more Chinese." Unfortunately, although George created that role, there wasn't a permanent position for him at New York City Ballet. He went on to Broadway. He had an illustrious career for more than 20 years, performing in Flower Drum Song. And he was really a fantastic career, traveling all over America. And when he was 45, a friend of his said, "You know, what are you going to do?" He said, I really don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And he said, "You could go to Las Vegas and they'll do a training for 6 weeks to become a blackjack dealer."
Wow.
He did the training.
Did it, yeah.
George today is 89 years old. He is still a blackjack dealer in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And so we are going to present a documentary about this incredible story of him, as a young refugee coming to America, becoming an artist, and this last phase of his life. He's a delightfully sweet and humble individual, and so we have Jennifer Lee and is the director, and John Funabiki is the producer. They'll be there to introduce the documentary. We'll be showing highlights of the Angel Island project, and we'll be finishing with a Q&A, which will be centered around AAPI, I can't say it, Asian American Pacific Islander artists in the ballet and how they're represented, or perhaps how we need to do more to represent. So this is the event. It takes place at 1 o'clock at the Oakland Asian Cultural Center in Oakland, and it's going to be a great, fun afternoon.
And very rich. Another event, it's coming up in October, right?
Actually, it's going to be the 2nd of November.
Oh.
Luna Mexicana.
I thought it was in October.
No,
okay.
It's actually on the Day of the Dead this year, and we'll be at the Paramount Theatre Saturday at 2:30. You have to put on your best Day of the Dead
Oh my
attire,
gosh, I love that.
your skeleton face and your bones and everything like that.
Wow, that's one of the best times of the year for me.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I want to say also, please don't forget that while we're in the theatres, we also serve around 9,000 students every year. We go into the schools, and can you imagine, we had been in Haywood at a school, and we get artwork and letters from the students when we perform. Little boy wrote, he had put skeletons all over the page. He said, "Before you came to the school, I was really frightened. I didn't understand. But since you were here, man, I felt the spirit of my grandpa standing next to me."
Wow.
He was 9 years old. And so when we bring the arts to the students come closer to the arts. That is a beautiful thing. We'll be giving a performance for 2,600 students on the 1st of November, Friday the 1st, in the morning at the Paramount Theatre.
And just to make sure they don't pay a penny for the ticket.
That's why we need to raise money. In a year, we give away about $90,000 worth of services to the community for free. We have an in-school program, in-school performances. They come to the theatre, they'll come and see Nutcracker. We do not charge.
Congratulations, my friend. It's nice to see you. Thank you so much
I appreciate
for
this.
joining
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.